This is a Talk2Jack Podcast with UnkuJack, exploring topics on heart, mind, soul, and the human experience. Let's talk. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talk2Jack Podcast. I'm your host, UnkuJack, here with another episode. How you guys doing? I'm good. I think I'm good. I'm usually pretty good. Anyway, so today I want to talk to you about a little short topic. And it started off with remembering I have this door, right? So, I know I'm talking about a door, but I have this door in my house. It's a front door, and it's got a knob that you can turn the handle to open the door from the inside, but there is no knob on the outside. So you have to use a key to open the door from the outside. And if you forget the key on the inside, then you can't open up the door from the outside. And I'm obsessed with not getting locked out of my house. And so, like, by default, the moment I moved into this house, I just constantly take the key out and put it in my pocket whenever I'm walking out the door, just to make sure that I don't accidentally slam the door shut and then I'm locked out the house. And it's happened a couple of times where people have come over, and I warn them, hey, don't forget the key. You know, if you slam the door shut, so make sure you grab the key. And then they forget, and they go out, and the door slams shut, and they're locked out the house. And it can be quite inconvenient. But I remember at some point going to learn how to pick locks, just in case it ever happened. And also because I like to learn, and I know learning how to pick locks is a skill. I wouldn't say I'm an expert or anything, but I got some skills now, And so I was thinking about that the other day, and I saw this puzzle online, and it was some old lock puzzle where somebody had this old lock, and you had to move things around in a certain way, and then things would key into certain places and ridges would pop in, and depending on how you turn these things, certain things would align and all of that. And it threw me down this rabbit hole of watching videos about locks and keys and stuff like that. And I found it interesting how over the years the technology around keys and locks and things have evolved from very simple mechanisms to really complicated mechanisms like you have today. Within the lock itself, and the locking mechanisms, and then the doors, and then the keys themselves, and how they interact with those locks and those doors. And I remember thinking about how a phrase stood out to me, and the phrase was that old keys cannot open new doors. And I don't know why that stood out to me, that, most of the old keys are differently shaped, they're differently styled, different technology, and so they wouldn't work in most of the modern doors that we have today. But then I thought about it, that a locksmith could probably open almost any door. Old keys may not open new doors, but knowledge about how doors work, and how locks work, and how keys work will open any door. And that's why you have locksmiths. And that stood out to me because I started thinking about how we focus on acquiring degrees and certificates and skills. We want money. We chase money. We want a certain type of vehicle, a car or a ride. We want certain clothing, certain accessories. We want certain friends. We want to roll in certain circles. And all of those things are keys and locks, right? Well, they're keys, they're tools, they're things that we acquire, things that we grab, those certificates, those degrees, those things that we grab. It's okay to have them. It's a key. And they will open some locks, but only very specific locks. If you don't know the lock that the key belongs to, that key is useless. If you have a degree or certificate and you don't know how to apply it to a situation, then it's useless. If you have a certain tool or resource, if you have money and you don't know how best to utilize that money, it's not useless, but it's not going to grow. It's not going to give you value the way you think it should. It's not going to give you peace or joy or happiness or whatever else you desire, because it's useless to you in the wrong context if you don't know how to use it in the right lock, right? So if you have knowledge about how keys work and how locks work, even without a key, you can use other tools to open up locks. So I'll give you an example, right? I started off my career in media, and while I was in uni, I remember signing up for this. It was supposed to be like an advanced studio management course, and it was basically a made-up course. It was a course that basically meant I was a teacher's aide, teacher's assistant, and I helped manage the studio, and I helped set up things and tear down things. And why did I select that course? Because I wanted to learn how everything worked. Now, I was in a class with other students taking similar classes, single camera production, multi-camera production, advanced production, and all kinds of things back then. But the difference between myself and my colleagues in class, the other students in class, was that I spent all my free time in the studio working as an assistant to the teacher. And so I took apart everything in that studio and relabeled everything and put everything back together again. And by doing that, I understood how everything was wired. I understood how everything worked. I didn't just know how to use the equipment. I knew how it all worked. I knew how it all flowed together. Now, what is the advantage to that? The advantage is this. If you walked in right now to a car and you put your key in the ignition, you started it, you put it in gear, you drive off. Everybody can do that pretty much if you learn how to drive. But a mechanic knows how the car works. And if a mechanic gets in the car and drives it, he's going to hear things that you won't hear. He's going to know things that you won't know. He's going to know probably what the limits of that car are and how to move that car maybe in a particular way to maximize it. And that's the difference between a race car driver and an everyday driver on the street trying to mimic a race car driver, is that a race car driver is trained to understand the vehicle that they're driving and how it works, how it handles, what the limits are, what it can do, what it cannot do, what a sound means, what a feel means. Whereas a regular person just go fast, go fast, go fast, hit the brakes, turn, and it's not the same. And so if you have knowledge about how things work, then you can apply a unique set of skills that you acquire, even out of context, to make things happen, to get things done, which is what I did. Because I had learned how things worked in my first job as a media director, I was able to take software that I had that was rudimentary and use it to create the things that people would pay thousands and thousands of dollars to acquire software to do. Because I had a more detailed knowledge about how things worked, I was able to create things that other people couldn't with the same tools that I had. And I've applied that principle through my life. Every time I acquire a new skill or a new thing, I make sure that I'm diving deeper to understand how that thing works, to understand what is below that thing, what's under the hood, what's under the bonnet, what's in the engine, how does it work? And doing that allows me to apply skills into scenarios and things that may elude other people, that they were not designed for. I'm able to get creative about problem solving and creative about working through issues and problems that I come across, because the tools in my arsenal are not just tools, but I also know how to utilize them in unique ways. I know what should go where and how things should go and how to get things done with those things. And it's the same thing in life, whether you're a people person or not. That skill that you have, that outgoing personality that you have, is a tool. But if you don't know how to utilize it in the context of social situations, if you don't know when to speak or when not to speak, if you don't know who to approach or who not to approach, who to be free and comfortable with, who to be more prim and proper with, if you don't know how to talk to people or the words to use, you can quickly be off-putting. So you're a people person, you're out there in the midst of people, but there's no real value being obtained from those people because you're not utilizing your skill to the best ability. And so I want to challenge you today, even though old keys may not open new locks. If you have knowledge about how things work, then it doesn't matter what you have on your person. You can make it work in a variety of situations, and you can solve challenging and tasking problems that you may otherwise not be equipped to solve. But because of your knowledge of the situations that you're in, of the things that you're dealing with, and the tools that you have, you can make them work, and you can make them reap rewards and benefits from you. I hope that I've been able to trigger something in your mind today that gives you some difference in thought about how you can utilize your skills, how you can utilize the tools that you acquire or the things that you have to your benefit. I hope that you will think differently about approaching problem solving, and I hope that you've been inspired by this message. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, UnkuJack, on all social media platforms. That's UnkuJack. And our website is jackandi.com. That's JACKANDI.com. Stay safe, everyone. Be good. I hope you go out there and you solve problems. Solve problems. The world needs you. Solve problems. And as always, be inspired. This has been the Talk2Jack Podcast with UnkuJack. Tune in next time for another episode.